Yun Chuzhou felt that she had struck it rich. She originally thought that she had raised a useless piece of trash, but she did not expect that it would turn out to be an ancient divine bird, the phoenix. In the future, who would dare to provoke me? Little fellow, I'll let my little phoenix kill you. It was too awesome. What 3 years? The little pretty boy's enemy was nothing to him. Once the little phoenix appeared, he would burn to death. Even if he did not burn him to death, he could still order all the demonic beasts to kill him. TSK, this fairy really has a discerning eye for birds. Who would have thought that such an ugly bird was actually a phoenix? Ha ha ha. He made a fortune. Just as this fellow was showing off, he heard Xiao Hanyo use his spiritual sense to say, "Master, quickly retreat. I can't hold on for long." Yun Chuzhou stumbled and almost fell to the ground. One could imagine the difference in this guy's heart. It was like he thought he had picked up a luminous pearl, but was told that it was a glass ball. This guy was very good at adjusting his mind. Although his heart was like a dog, he pretended to say, "Lord Phoenix, it's not fun here. Let's go somewhere else." Xiao Hanyo was also used to posturing. It raised its neck with an arrogant look, but its speed was not slow. It brought Yun Chuzhou and quickly rushed out of the encirclement. The demonic beasts were affected by the pressure, so they did not dare to stop it. They could only watch as the man and the bird left. However, they soon discovered that the pressure of the phoenix was gone. The demonic beasts were stunned at first, then they chased after Yun Chuzhou like crazy. The pressure of the phoenix suddenly disappeared, which meant that it was just an immature little phoenix. If they ate it, they would definitely be able to make a qualitative leap in their spiritual power, and they might even activate their hidden ancient bloodline. They had to eat it. At this time, Yun Chuzhou had already put the little black bird into her spiritual beast bag, and she ran desperately. As she ran, she sent a voice transmission talisman to Anfeng, Xiao Hanyo, to who? Run quickly. Anfeng was shocked by the strange phenomenon just now. He cursed in his heart. Wherever Miss Jiu appeared, unimaginable things would happen. After receiving Yun Chuzhou's voice transmission talisman, he knew that Yun Chuzhou must have stirred up trouble again. Don't say anything else, run. Although Yun Chuzhou's movement technique was very fast, the trees here were densely packed, so she couldn't run fast at all. The demon beasts quickly shortened the distance between them and Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou didn't care about the consequences. She took out the superior grade sudden rupture talisman and threw it behind her, killing one by one. Those demonic beasts didn't expect this pervert to have so many superior grade burst talismans. They were blasted until they cried out in pain. Although their bodies were strong, they were still blasted until they bled profusely. Yun Chuzhou stole a glance and couldn't help but curse in her heart. What the fuck? These demonic beasts' bodies were really strong. They didn't even kill a few after such an explosion. It seemed that she had to learn a few more powerful talismans as soon as possible. Although Yun Chuzhou could stop the demonic beasts, she couldn't stop the demonic birds. Several demonic birds started to throw fireballs at Yun Chuzhou. Fortunately, this fellow had the fire-repelling pearl, so it hurt a little when it was hit, so it didn't burn to death. But in this way, the demonic beasts behind caught up. Xiao He, can you pretend to be a phoenix again? Master, I borrowed a trace of phoenix divine aura from the Nirvana pearl just now. Now that my divine aura is exhausted, I can't maintain the suppression of the phoenix anymore. Xiao Hanyo said dejectedly. It also wanted to pretend for a while more. But it could only think about it. Yun Chuzhou did not have the time to scold him. There were at least 3 days' journey from the outer area of the fallen phoenix forest. Could it be that she could only wait for death? Just as Yun Chuzhou was thinking, a figure rushed over. It was Anfeng. After he received Yun Chuzhou's voice transmission talisman, he originally wanted to run out, but after thinking about it, he turned around and ran inside, wanting to help Yun Chujio. Although Yun Chujio was touched, she was even more worried. This time, both of them might die here. Jin Ji, the beauty, had lost her best friend and boyfriend all of a sudden. She would definitely be extremely sad. Xiao Hanyo was so angry that he was about to faint. What time was this? This heartless master was actually thinking about all these things. It was really infuriating. Anfeng was really unlucky. Fireballs kept falling down. Although there were trees to block them, many of them still hit him. Anfeng could only run and hit with his spiritual power. This way, his escape speed was much slower. Anfeng could not help but regret. Miss Jiu was right. He was just a burden. It was better not to save Miss Jiu. This was not saving people, it was clearly harming people. Miss Jiu, you go first. Don't mind me. Anfeng felt that if this continued, both of them would die. He might as well let Yun Chujio run first. Yun Chujio ignored him. Her brain was working quickly. How could she get out of the current predicament? Although the sudden rupture talisman could resist for a while, the effect would not be too good. There were too many demon beasts, and there were also demon birds. Using puppets. It was still okay to use puppets to deal with demon beasts below level 37, but it was not enough to deal with these high-level demon beasts. Chili noodles. Stop bullshitting. These high-level demon beasts were huge in size, so the chili noodles would not be of much use. What should they do? Could they only wait for death? The demon beasts behind started to approach, and the demon birds kept circling on the top of the tree. They felt that Yun Chujio and Anfeng had already become their possessions. Anfeng saw that Yun Chujio did not pay attention to him, so he did not mention it again. He knew Yun Chujio's personality. No one could change the things that she decided. He was extremely regretful. If such a thing happened again in the future. No matter what, he had to listen to Miss Jiu. He could not give her any trouble. Finally, the demonic beasts once again trapped Yun Chujio and Anfeng in the middle. Now, there was nothing left to say. They could only go all out. Yun Chujio released 5 puppets. What chili noodles, pepper noodles, talismans, all the methods that could be used were used. Unfortunately, the difference in strength was too great. Moreover, the number of demon beasts was dozens of times more than them. Anfeng was already heavily injured after only 15 minutes. Although Yun Chujio was not injured, it was clear that she could not hold on for long. Yun Chujio could not help but laugh at herself. Indeed, people die for money and birds die for food. If it were not for her greed, she would not have fallen into such a dangerous situation. She had really brought this upon herself. Just when this fellow thought that he would definitely die, a white figure rushed over. Yun Chujio thought of a classic line, "My beloved is a peerless hero. One day, he will wear golden armor and holy clothes and ride a rainbow auspicious cloud to marry me." As the man waved his sleeves, the demonic birds hovering on the tree top were beaten until they screamed miserably and flew away. Yun Chujio pulled her neck and shouted, "Prince Charming! Prince Charming! I love you so much. Help me kill these shameless demonic beasts." Those demonic beasts were so angry that they were twitching. "How dare you say that we are shameless? You stole our Nirvana pearl, you are shameless." Anfeng saw that it was Beiming and finally heaved a sigh of relief. Although he did not know why Beiming would rush over, he had to admit that it was fortunate that Beiming had rushed over. Otherwise, he and Yun Chujio would have lost their lives today. Demonic beasts had an instinctive sense of danger. When they saw that Beiming had defeated the demonic beasts with just a few moves, they looked at each other and could only escape unwillingly. Yun Chujio was about to say a few words of thanks when she saw Beiming's expression turn cold. He glared at her fiercely, "I'll settle the score with you when we get out." Yun Chuzhou shrunk her neck. It was over. The pretty boy was angry. And Feng was even more miserable. He was already heavily injured. When he was swept by Di Baiming's cold gaze, he almost fainted. Oh no, oh no. His Excellency was angry. He was going to be punished. And Feng was seriously injured, and he should have recuperated for a while before setting off. However, when he saw Di Baiming's gloomy expression, he did not dare to delay. He wished that he could grow wings and fly as fast as possible. Of course, there was an even worse case, and that was the Xiao Hanyo. The anxiety in this fellow's heart could not be described with words. He was worried that his black-hearted master would settle the score in the future, and he was even more worried that Di Baiming would tear him into pieces. Oh God, the bird's life was in danger. Di Baiming walked at the front, his body emitting a cold aura. Wherever he passed by, the trees began to wither at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was obvious that he was injured by the murderous aura. Yun Chuzhou and Enfeng looked at each other, and they could not help but shrink their necks. The two of them did not even dare to make too much noise as they were afraid that Di Baiming would take the opportunity to teach them a lesson. At this moment, the sky had already started to darken. Yun Chuzhou shamelessly went to Di Baiming's side and said, "Prince Charming, it's already dark. Should we find a place to rest for the night?" Di Baiming snorted coldly and ignored her as he continued to walk forward. Yun Chuzhou secretly curled her lips. Bah! On account of you saving this great ant, endure it. Just as Yun Chuzhou was cursing in her heart, she saw Di Baiming casually hit a few trees with his palm. The thick trees fell to the ground. Yun Chuzhou secretly glared at Di Baiming's back. Fuck! This pretty boy's temper was getting weirder and weirder. Why was he venting his anger on the trees? He didn't know how to take care of the environment at all. Bad review. Just as this guy was cursing in his heart, Di Baiming turned around and snorted, "What are you still standing there for? Didn't you want to camp?" Yun Chuzhou was stunned and said flatteringly, "Prince Charming, I knew you were the best. So you brought these trees down to make room for camp." As he spoke, he took out a chair and placed it beside Di Baiming. "Prince Charming, please sit down and rest. I will prepare dinner." Di Baiming snorted and ignored her. However, he sat on the chair. And Feng fell to the ground with a thud. He had been walking for such a long time with his heavy injuries. It was almost killing him. He could finally rest. Yun Chuzhou started to prepare dinner. Actually, she did not need to prepare anything. There were all kinds of delicacies in this guy's storage ring. It filled the entire table. When they were eating, this guy was naturally very attentive. And Feng felt as if he had returned to the time when His Majesty and Miss Jiao first met. At that time, Miss Jiao was always so thick-skinned. Cough, cough, she would cause trouble. Although Di Baiming accepted Yun Chuzhou's attentive service, his face was still cold. Other than snorting coldly, he did not say a word to Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou knew that she was in the wrong. This matter was indeed thoughtless. She knew that the danger was high, yet she still insisted on going in. If Di Baiming had not arrived in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Therefore, even if Di Baiming had a cold face, this fellow was still smiling like a flower, trying to please her. He was just short of wagging his tail. When it was time to sleep, the pitiful dark wind took the initiative to alert the night shift. Yun Chuzhou took out her all-purpose tent and dragged Di Baiming into the tent. A sentence appeared in this guy's mind: fight at the head of the bed, fight at the end of the bed. Whether or not the gigolo can be appeased depends on tonight. After Di Baiming entered the tent, he put on his clothes and lay down, still ignoring Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes and said slyly, "My Prince Charming, my dear Prince Charming, I was wrong, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have listened to Xiao Hei's slanderous words and entered the dangerous place without caring about the danger. I won't dare to do it again next time. The little black bird in the spiritual beast bag almost fainted. Master. You won't have any friends like this. You clearly know that the pretty boy is in a rage. If you sell me out like this, I will lose my life, okay? As expected, Di Baiming said coldly, well, deal with that stupid bird tomorrow. Black thing, do you think you're very powerful? Do you think that you're invincible just because of your sharp tongue and talisman seal? Do you think that you can play the Mo family in your hands and be unafraid of the difference in spiritual power levels? Do you think that you cannot cherish your own life just because Tian Dao did not kill you? Black thing, do you think that I will forgive you for anything you do because of my feelings for you? Do you know that if you really die like this, HMPH. Di Baiming did not say the rest of his words, but the meaning was obvious. If Yun Chuzhou died, then what was the point of him living? Yun Chuzhou was stunned by Di Baiming's series of questions. Her heart trembled. She thought about Di Baiming's words and felt that it made sense. She had indeed been a little complacent these days. Although the reason why she went in today was partly due to Xiao Haniu's bewitching, but more importantly, it was because she was complacent. She felt that so what if her spiritual power was low? Wasn't the Mo family still fooled by her? Didn't the Luo family still get destroyed by her? Not to mention, she even earned a huge amount of spirit stones. It was as if her IQ was on the line, and she had a sense of superiority. However, today, in front of those powerful demonic beasts, all of her schemes and tricks were useless. If it wasn't for the gigolo who descended from the sky, she would most likely have lost her life in the fallen phoenix forest, and she would even implicate in Feng and a few other dumb cuties. This fellow had one advantage, and that was that she knew her mistakes and would change them. After she understood, she threw herself into Di Baiming's arms and began to howl, "Wah wah, Prince Charming, you're right, I was wrong. I'm just a fool who is complacent." It was late at night, and Yun Chujia's cries were too penetrating. And Feng, who was standing guard outside the tent, was shocked. Fuck, did His Majesty beat up Miss Jiu? Why was she crying so miserably? Di Baiming saw that Yun Chuzhou was crying so hard. On one hand, he felt sorry for her, but on the other hand, he was afraid. He did not dare to imagine that if he had not come to take a look because he was distracted, if he had not arrived in time. What a terrifying outcome that would have been. Therefore, even though Yun Chuzhou was sobbing, Di Baiming didn't coax her. He retracted his raised arm. Pine 0, cm a mere 6th level spiritual venerable dared to charge into the middle of a group of high-level demonic beasts. It was simply audacious. He should teach that black thing a lesson. Otherwise, she would be able to destroy the sky. At first, Yun Chuzhou was crying with sincerity. Later on, she wanted to win Di Baiming's sympathy and get over this small incident. Who would have thought that Di Baiming would ignore her? This fellow was embarrassed. Should she continue crying or continue crying? As she cried, she peeked at Di Baiming through the gaps of her fingers. In the end, she saw that Di Baiming's face was still cold, so she could only abashedly give up. Fuck, I don't care anymore. I'll sleep first. I'll think of a way to coax the gigolo tomorrow. Just as Di Baiming was hesitating whether he should coax Yun Chuzhou, he heard the crying stop abruptly. When he looked down, he realized that Yun Chuzhou was actually asleep. Di Baiming shook his head and sighed. He kissed Yun Chujia's forehead and closed his eyes. The next morning, Yun Chuzhou opened her eyes. When she saw Di Baiming's sleeping face beside her, her eyes started to become restless. TSK, how could a gigolo be so charming? How could his eyelashes be so long? How could his nose be so good-looking? The more He Xinjiu looked at him, the more she felt that she had good taste in picking boyfriends. However, when she thought about how she cried like that yesterday, Di Baiming did not coax her, she could not help but feel a little angry. The more Hei Shinjiu thought about it, the angrier she got. HMH, I really want to draw a little bastard on his face. This idea seems to be good. Thinking of this, she secretly took out a charcoal pen from her storage ring. Just as she was about to draw, she saw Di Baiming's eyelids twitch. She was so scared that she jumped out of the tent like a rabbit. Di Baiming had long woken up. He opened his eyes in confusion. He was very puzzled. Why did the black thing suddenly rush out? Could it be that it knew that it was wrong and was too ashamed to see him? Di Baiming curled his lips. It seemed that teaching her a lesson was still effective. Otherwise, if he let her do whatever she wanted, she would get into trouble sooner or later. When Di Baiming thought of this, he suddenly felt that his mood was very good. He stood up and left the tent. When Yun Chuzhou saw Di Baiming coming out, her heart was in a mess. She did not know if the gigolo saw the charcoal pen in her hand. Could it be that he came out to settle the score with her? When Di Baiming saw Yun Chuzhou peeking at him shyly, he confirmed his guess. He snorted coldly, "Black thing, do you know that you are wrong?" Yun Chuzhou was also guilty. When she heard Di Baiming's question, she thought that Di Baiming had noticed her little move. She shivered and said, "I am wrong, PN0, I am wrong. I know that I am wrong. I am very wrong." Di Baiming curled his lips. "Tell me, what did you do wrong? My Prince Charming, don't tell me." Yun Chuzhou glanced at Anfeng, who was not far away. If she told him, the gigolo would be so embarrassed that he would fly into a rage. "Humph. If you can do it, why can't you tell me? If you don't tell me, it means that you haven't realized your mistake," Di Baiming said unhappily. "Prince Charming, you asked me to say it. Then, I will say it." Yun Chuzhou looked like she was ready to die. "Say it. Don't dawdle." Di Baiming took a few steps and said coldly while sitting on the chair. Okay. I shouldn't have wanted to draw a little bastard on your face. I was wrong. I wasn't awake just now, so my brain wasn't clear. Please forgive me." Hei Shinjiu said with her eyes closed. Bang! The poor lord collapsed on the ground, wishing that he could sew up Yun Chujia's mouth. Anfeng's eyes were wide open. God, did I hear something that I shouldn't have? Is it too late to cover my ears? Black thing, you shut up. Di Baiming said with a gloomy face. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. Prince Charming, didn't you ask me to say it? You. I asked you to admit your mistake, but who knew that not only did you not realize your mistake, but also, you were simply too stubborn. Di Baiming stood up and said angrily. Didn't I say that I was muddle-headed because I didn't wake up just now? Besides, didn't I also not draw? Is there a need for you to be so angry? Also, I already said that I won't say it, but you had to let me say it. Are you blaming me? Yun Chuzhou had an innocent look on her face. She didn't say anything but insisted on saying it. After saying that, she turned hostile again. Was there something wrong with this gigolo? I asked you to admit your mistake of taking the risk to enter the core area of the forest. Who asked you to say such nonsense? Di Baiming felt a little pain in his head. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes and then covered her mouth. So she had misunderstood. She was so unlucky that she confessed. This guy regretted it. Especially when he saw Di Baiming was so angry that he wanted to strangle her to death, he said guiltily, that Prince Charming, misunderstanding, this is all a misunderstanding. I will admit my mistake now. Under your guidance, I have fully realized my mistake. I shouldn't have been complacent just because I achieved a little result. I shouldn't have rushed to my death knowing that I was in danger. I was wrong. In the future, I will listen to my Prince Charming obediently and train hard. I will never be lazy, and I will never do such a risky thing. Hearing Yun Chujia's words, Di Baiming's expression softened a little. However, when he remembered what happened just now, his face turned gloomy again. Let's go. Don't. Prince Charming, we haven't even had breakfast yet. We are iron rice and steel. I am so hungry after not eating. Prince Charming, I am so hungry. Yun Chujio grabbed Di Baiming's arm and said pitifully. Di Baiming really couldn't stand Yun Chujia's coquettishness. He could only snort coldly, it won't happen again. There won't be a next time. I promise. This guy silently gave himself a thumbs up. Damn, it wasn't easy. The gigolo was becoming more and more difficult to deal with. During breakfast, even though Yun Chujio was very attentive, Di Baiming's face still didn't look good. Yun Chujio silently ridiculed him. Could it be that the gigolo's menopause had come early? This fellow thought of a good idea, which was to let Xiao Hanyo come out to share Di Baiming's anger. After all, this fellow was the main culprit. Xiao Hanyo did not sleep last night because it was worried that Di Baiming would not let it off easily. It thought of countless kinds of torture, and it almost scared itself into insanity. After Yun Chujio let Xiao Hanyo out, she did not speak for a long time. Not only was she stunned, even Di Baiming and Enfome were stunned. What the hell was this? Yun Chujio had been busy running for her life, so she did not notice Xiao Hanyo's new appearance. If the Xiao Hanyo from before was like a young fire-breathing crow, now it was like a fat fire-breathing crow. Yun Chujio even wondered if Xiao Hanyo's two short wings could still fly. Yun Chujio thought that the black phoenix she saw yesterday must be an illusion. How could this guy be such a high-class phoenix? This guy was a foodie. Xiao Hanyo misunderstood everyone's meaning. It thought that everyone was shocked by its new look. A hint of pride flashed in its pizzazed eyes. For this new look, it was worth being tortured by a gigolo. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Xiao Hei, are you swollen? Can you still fly? How can you be a phoenix like this? Don't tease me. Yun Chujio held her stomach and laughed maniacally. The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched slightly. It was the first time he saw a bird that ate so fat. It was too ugly. Xiao Hanyo was dumbfounded. It felt like it had received 10,000 critical hits. So what if it was fat? Did it eat your rice? Or did it drink your water? It was really bullying the bird. Yun Chujio laughed for a while before she asked expectantly, Xiao Hei, what ability did you gain by swallowing the Nirvana pearl? Xiao Hanyo blinked its green bean eyes guiltily, that master, I just swallowed the Nirvana pearl. I haven't refined it yet. As the saying goes, it takes more than 1 day to freeze 3 feet. I have to cultivate slowly. Before Xiao Hanyo could finish his words, he was kicked away by Yun Chujio. You dumbass. You almost caused my life to be lost, and you actually didn't improve at all. What do you mean by not a day's cold? How could you become fat in one go? Yun Chujio was simply furious. Xiao Hanyo flapped its 2 short and fat wings desperately, and finally managed to fly to a crooked tree. It tried to defend itself with a guilty conscience. Master, I am so fat because I swallowed the Nirvana pearl. After I digest the Nirvana pearl, I will naturally lose weight. Master, believe me, I will work hard to cultivate in the future. One day, I will definitely soar to the sky. PN0, PFFT. Soar to the sky. I think you are shameless. Yun Chujio originally thought that she had taken such a big risk, Xiao Hanyo would add some awesome skills, but she did not expect it to be a futile effort. One could imagine how depressed she was. Di Baiming raised his hand, and the Xiao Hanyo fell to the ground uncontrollably. Di Baiming stared at it coldly, and the Xiao Hanyo trembled in fear. It's over, the demon star would not really want to kill it, right? I warned you, since you're with the black thing, don't have any other thoughts. Looks like you don't have a long memory. Di Biming took 2 steps forward and stood in front of the little black bird. Xiao Hanio was so scared that it almost fainted. With a trembling voice, it shouted, "I just want to become stronger, I really don't have any other thoughts. The Nirvana Pearl is too important to our Phoenix clan, otherwise I wouldn't be so eager to get it. Master! Master! Help!" Xiao Hanio was really afraid because it felt that Di Biming really wanted to kill it at this moment. Prince Charming, Xiao He, Yun Chujio couldn't bear it and wanted to ask for mercy. "Shut up. What's the use of keeping such a trash? Kill it and I will help you find a new spiritual pet. I guarantee it will be 10,000 times stronger than this trash." Di Biming said coldly and raised his right hand. I am useful. I am useful. I can use the Nirvana fire." Xiao Hanio saw that Di Biming had raised his hand and did not dare to hide it anymore, so he quickly said. Di Biming sneered, "Since you can use the Nirvana fire, why didn't you tell me when little Jiu asked you just now? It is even worse to have such a sneaky spiritual pet." Xiao Hanio knew that only Yun Chujio could save it now, so he used 2 short wings to wrap around Yun Chujio's ankle. It howled, "Master! Master! I didn't mean to hide it. This Nirvana fire can only be used by an adult phoenix. Once I use it, I will fall into a coma. That's why I didn't say anything. Master, I have risked my life with you. Am I the kind of bird that hides? If you are really in danger, let alone making me fall into a coma, I would be willing to die. Master, help." Di Biming stared coldly at Xiao Hanio. He thought to himself, what kind of master would have a spirit pet? This ugly bird was as cunning as the black thing. It was full of evil intentions. Yun Chujio kicked Xiao Hanio away. "What you say is better than what you sing. Get lost." Xiao Hanio was kicked onto the crooked tree again. This fellow knew that Yun Chujio saved it in disguise. He quickly shrunk his neck and did his best to reduce his presence. He was afraid that Di Biming would not let it go and really kill it. Oh, of course, Di Biming would not really kill Xiao Hanio. The reason why he did so was to give it and the other 3 dumb cuties a warning, so that they would not encourage Yun Chujio to cause trouble again. Di Biming looked at Xiao Hanio coldly and said indifferently, "Let's go." Yun Chujio quickly rushed to Di Biming's side and decided to use the best method to save that oolong's mistake. "Prince Charming, I realized that after not seeing you for a few days, you've become even more handsome." "Prince Charming, how can you be so charming? My little heart is about to jump out." "Prince Charming, if it weren't for the situation that didn't allow it, I would really like to write you a few love poems. I really love you to death." Anfeng followed behind with a stiff face. Miss Jiu probably didn't know what integrity was. No wonder she could take the throne. With great difficulty, the little black bird flapped its short wings and landed on Anfeng's shoulder. It said in a fawning low voice, "Uncle Feng, please, please, give me a ride. Otherwise, I really can't fly." Anfeng's mouth twitched. A bird that was so fat that it could not fly. It was simply a wonder in the world. Anfeng wanted to ignore the little black bird, but he knew that the little black bird was just as vengeful as its owner. Moreover, it was full of evil intentions. If he really offended Xiao Hanio, his days would definitely not stop, thus, he could only carry Xiao Hanio and follow behind Di Biming and Yun Chujio. Fortunately, after a while, Yun Chujio's conscience made her put Xiao Hanio into the spirit beast pouch. Anfeng then rubbed his right shoulder. Damn, it had to be said that Xiao Hanio was really fat. After carrying Xiao Hanio for so long, he felt that his shoulder was sore and painful. Yun Chujio was about to continue sweet-talking Di Biming when she realized that the sky had suddenly darkened. It was still early in the morning. There could only be one reason for the sky to darken, and that was that she was about to break through. This guy was dancing with joy. Idle, I'm going to be struck by lightning. Ha! I'm going to be struck by lightning. That's great. Di Biming and Infeng's faces were stiff. The only person who could say that he was going to be struck by lightning so happily was probably this guy in front of them. That's great. It's not a waste of my suffering these few days. I'm finally going to break through. I hope I can level up a few more levels, Yun Chujio said excitedly. The dark cloud in the sky was the same dark cloud that struck Yun Chujio in Jinchuan City last time. This time, it had only one purpose, and that was to kill this scourge, Yun Chujio. It was one thing for this scourge to have a heavenly thunder spirit root, but it actually took in a phoenix as a spirit pet. This was something that the Tian Dao would never allow. Such a person must be killed. Just as Wu Yun was thinking about this, he saw the little girl below waving at him excitedly. Xiao Yun Yun, quickly float over and chop me down. I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you so much. Xiao Yun Yun, did you bring enough stock this time? Xiao Yun Yun, this time, you must chop me down a little longer. Wu Yun was so angry that he kept twitching. Pervert. This pervert was really too cocky. Just you wait. If I don't kill you this time, I'll withdraw from the world of Wu Yun forever. Boom. 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 This time, Wu Yun did not have any prelude. He immediately struck Yun Chujio to death. Wu Yun was struck for an hour. When he looked down, he was so angry that he almost passed out. Oh, not only was Yun Chujio safe and sound, there was a chubby black bird next to Yun Chujio and a small mushroom next to Xiao Mogu. The three of them were waiting to be struck by lightning with a look of enjoyment. They were so beautiful. Wu Yun was angry and puzzled. Could it be that the fat bird was a phoenix? Fuck, the ancient divine bird phoenix did not look like this. Why was this one so ugly? Also, what was that Xiao Mogu? He seemed to have some impression of it. Why couldn't he remember it? Wu Yun gathered his strength again, and the heavenly lightning struck down once again. 2 hours, 4 hours, a total of 6 hours passed, but Yun Chujio was still alive and kicking. From time to time, she would interact with Wu Yun, almost turning Wu Yun into a mushroom cloud. I say, Xiao Mogu, it's been a few months, why haven't you made any progress at all? It's not that I'm criticizing you, but doesn't your dark cloud world have any test results? With you being so weak, I reckon it won't be long before you're eliminated to a low-grade continent, right? TSK, I'm an expert in hard work and leisure. You have to work hard. Yun Chujio felt that she was too cultured. She actually quoted a classic sentence. Quoting a classic should be what she said, right? Wu Yun was about to go crazy from anger. He kept hacking with all his might. Unfortunately, even when his thunder spirit energy was used up, the little devil was still alive and kicking. It seemed that he would be fine even if he hacked for another 4 hours. Wu Yun decided to take back what he said before. He still had to survive in the dark cloud world. He would leave such a monster to other clouds to hack at him. He did not want to see this monster anymore. It was too damaging to his pride and he could not live anymore. Wu Yun floated away without any hope. The sky turned clear in an instant. If the ground was not charred black, it would be as if nothing had happened before. Yun Chujio sat on the chopping board and pouted as she flew out of the pit. Di Biming and Infeng guessed that this guy might have broken through too few levels, so they were unhappy. Sure enough, Yun Chujio jumped down from the chopping board and said unhappily, "Damn it. This Wu Yun is too weak. The spiritual power in my Dantian is enough to level up 2 levels, but it didn't do anything. Damn it. Cultivating too fast is not a good thing. It's easy for your foundation to be unstable." You should consolidate your spiritual power and advance a few levels next time. Di Baiming comforted her. Yun Chuzhou sighed, then it can only be like this. I can't catch a piece of Wu Yun and attack me. Di Baiming comforted her again. Only then did Yun Chuzhou jump up and continue to walk forward while holding Di Baiming's arm. Feng couldn't hold it in anymore and asked tentatively, Miss Zhou, what is your cultivation level now? The first level of Lingxian realm, I'm too ashamed to say, too weak. Yun Chuzhou said with a pout. Feng staggered. Miss Zhou, are you sure you're not showing off? Breaking through 4 levels in one go, and you still think it's not enough? Moreover, the 9th level of every level was a shackle. How many people couldn't break through from the 9th level of the spiritual venerable realm to the 1st level of Lingxian realm after countless attempts? You succeeded in one attempt, and you're still not satisfied? As expected, we don't understand the world of geniuses. The corners of Di Baiming's eyes also twitched slightly. He originally thought that Yun Chuzhou had only advanced by 2 levels, but who would have thought that this fellow had actually broken through to the 1st level of the Lingxian realm in an instant. When they were almost at the edge of the fallen phoenix forest, Di Baiming stopped in his tracks. Little Zhou, I'm leaving, you, I know, I'll definitely cultivate properly. I want slack off, and I want do something stupid like going deep into danger again. Prince Charming, you have to protect yourself well. If you have any more scars on your body, it won't feel good to touch it. Shut up. Di Baiming's ears were slightly red. The black thing's words sounded as if she had touched it before. Alright, she seemed to have touched it before. Feng saw that his honored master's ears were getting redder and redder. He sighed in his heart. They were all men who flirted with women, but when it came to his honored master, she was always being teased by Miss Zhou. Honored master, can't you be a little more thick-skinned? Alright, I won't say any more. In short, you have to be more careful. You can go. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Di Baiming nodded and disappeared in a few flashes. Yun Chuzhou kicked the soil on the ground, feeling a little down. She had never found the feeling of separation so annoying in the past. Why did she feel so depressed now? She really wanted to cry. Feng saw that Yun Chuzhou was in a low mood, so he did not urge her. Instead, he stood aside and waited. Yun Chuzhia's self-adjustment ability was very strong. A moment later, she was fully recovered. Wasn't there a saying? The separation now was for the next reunion. She had to become stronger as soon as possible, this way, she could be together with the gigolo earlier. Little lunatic, let's keep a distance. Maybe we will meet someone else at the periphery of fallen phoenix forest. Yun Chuzhou thought for a moment and said to Feng. Feng nodded in agreement and followed Yun Chuzhou from a distance, continuing to walk out. At this moment, He Shi and the others outside of fallen phoenix forest felt a chill run down their spines. It had been almost 4 days, why hadn't the little ancestor come out yet? Could it be that she had really been eaten by a demonic beast? Also, could it be that the heavenly lightning that had struck her for a few hours earlier had struck her? Heavens, even if she hadn't been eaten by a demonic beast, she definitely wouldn't be able to live after being struck by such a brutal heavenly lightning for a few hours. He Shi and the others felt a little sad. Although they had not followed Yun Chuzhou for a long time, they still recognized her as their master. They did not expect her to die at such a young age. It was such a pity. He Shi and the others discussed for a while and decided to wait for another 3 days. If there was still no news from Yun Chuzhou, they could only return to the Mo residence to report. At this moment, they heard someone clearly say, "We haven't seen each other for a few days. Why are all of you looking haggard?" He Shi and the others looked at the person who spoke in surprise. If it wasn't the little ancestor, who was it? "Miss, you're back. That's great. We thought that you wouldn't be able to come back." He sure said in surprise, even forgetting to use the honorific title. I've said that I never do things that I'm not confident in. My life is very tough. Even the heavens wouldn't be able to kill me. Let's go back to Fomli City. This fellow selectively forgot about his shameful black history, he said proudly. He sure and the others excitedly called out their flying spirit tools. The group boarded the flying spirit tools and headed straight for Fomli City. Listen up, we've been training in the outer area of Fallen Phoenix Forest this time. Do you understand? Yun Chujio said seriously. He sure and the others knew that she said this to avoid unnecessary trouble. They nodded one after another. Yes, miss. We've been training in the outer area this time. The highest level of the demonic beasts you've killed is only level 27. Yun Chujio nodded in satisfaction and then adjusted the level of her spiritual power to level 4 of the spiritual venerable realm. This fellow wanted to increase it a little more, but he was afraid of arousing the suspicion of others, so he could only increase it by 2 levels first. He sure and the others were dumbfounded. How could this little ancestor's spiritual power level change so easily? When did it become so easy to break through? Although He sure and the others were full of questions, they did not dare to ask. This little ancestor was simply unfathomable. It was better to be tactful. 2 hours later, the flying spirit tool arrived outside of Fomli City. Yun Chujio brought He sure and the others down from the flying spirit tool and entered Fomli City. The Luo family had been destroyed by the Mo family. Now, the Mo family was the dominant family in Fomli City. In addition, it was said that Yun Chujio was the most beloved granddaughter of the Mo family head. Therefore, along the way, many people bowed to greet Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio smiled in greeting. The onlookers felt that this Miss Fong Chao was very friendly and did not put on airs. As expected, she received a lot of good reviews. He sure and the others followed behind with stiff faces. Their miss was most likely good at acting. Her acting was simply superb. Finally, the group returned to the Mo residence. Yun Chujio hopped over to see Mo shouting, "Grandfather, grandfather, I'm back." That's right. You have indeed improved. You should go back and rest now that you've just returned, Mo shouting said absent-mindedly. It was obvious that he had something on his mind. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. Did this old fox change his mind again? Logically speaking, it shouldn't be. After she killed Zhao Lizzie, the grudge between the Mo family and Zhao Lizzie was settled. There was no way they could work together. What exactly happened? Pan N0 CM grandfather, did something happen? Tell me, maybe I can help you think of a solution. Yun Chujio never knew what was reserved. She simply sat down on the chair. Mo shouting glanced at Yun Chujio and said after a moment of silence, "A few days ago, I received news that the Zhao family has already helped us solve the problem." Yun Chujio knew that there were still conditions. The Zhao family would not help for no reason. As expected. Mo shouting sighed and said, "The Zhao family said that they have helped us a lot. From now on, the lucky 7-star card business will be taken over by the Zhao family. We are not allowed to run a similar business." What? Isn't this too shameless? What's the difference between this and robbery? Grandfather, are you willing to do this? Yun Chujio was furious. The Mo family was even more shameless than Mo shouting. Mo shouting sighed, "A small arm can't beat a thigh. What can we do if we aren't willing to accept this? No matter what, the matter with the Zhao family has been resolved. Let's just pretend that we have never done business with the lucky 7-star card." Grandfather, even though you say that, the Mo family is so greedy. They won't make any other requests in the future, right? You'd better shut them up and make them promise that after they take over the business of the lucky 7-star card, they won't covet our other businesses. Yun Chujio was angry, but she knew that the Mo family was a giant compared to the Mo family. There was no way they could resist. Mo shouting sighed, "That's all we can do. You should go back and get some rest. We can discuss the details tomorrow." Yun Chujio nodded her head and returned to Tingyi Xian unhappily. It wasn't that she didn't want to part with the 7-star lucky card, but she once again felt weak. The Zhao family could be dealt with a single sentence, and the Mo family's money tree could be dug out with a single sentence. If there was ever a day when she didn't like Mo shouting, killing her would be a piece of cake. No, they could not allow this to happen. Mo Ziyading's tree was like a piece of Gowei Batsao in front of the Mo family. Before she was strong enough, she had to find another tree to enjoy the cold, or, she had to find a protective talisman. Even the Mo family did not dare to touch her protective talisman. When Mo Fangqin saw Yun Chujio return, she excitedly welcomed her. "Big sister, you're back." When Yun Chujio saw Mo Fangqin, her heart moved. "Third sister, I picked some fruits in Fallen Phoenix Forest. Take me to see Auntie Chiu. I'll give her some to try." Mo Fangqin was simply overwhelmed by the favor. "Big sister, you just came back. You should take a good rest. Give me the spirit fruit and I'll pass it to Auntie Chiu. It's fine. I have nothing better to do. Let's go." Yun Chujio dragged Mo Fangqin out of the courtyard. Mo Fangqin had no choice but to bring Yun Chujio to Auntie Chiu's courtyard. Auntie Chiu knew that it was Yun Chujio who helped her and her daughter to live such a comfortable life, so she was at a loss when she saw Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio could not help but laugh. "Auntie Chiu, I don't eat people. What are you nervous about? I picked these spirit fruits in Fallen Phoenix Forest. I'll give them to you to taste." As Yun Chujio said this, she handed a plate of spiritual fruits to Auntie Chiu. Of course, these spiritual fruits were not picked in the Fallen Phoenix Forest, but no one would care about these. "Eldest miss, we simply can't repay your great kindness to us mother and daughter." As Auntie Chiu said this, tears fell. Yun Chujio quickly jested and finally teased Auntie Chiu until her tears turned into laughter. Thus, this fellow began to reveal his fox tail. "Auntie Chiu, actually, am quite envious of third sister. She has you as her mother to protect her. Sigh, I'm a child without a mother. Only I know the pain in my heart." Yun Chujio sighed and said, the rims of her eyes were slightly red. "Eldest miss, you shouldn't be too sad. Now that you've won the family head's favor, your days will definitely be better and better in the future." Auntie Chiu comforted. "Auntie Chiu, even though that's the case, I still miss my mother. Can you tell me what my mother looks like and what kind of person she is?" Yun Chujio looked expectantly at Auntie Chiu. Auntie Chiu hesitated for a moment before saying to Mo Fangqin, "Fangqin, go out and keep an eye on her. I'll talk to eldest miss for a while." Mo Fangqin sensibly went out to stand guard. Only then did Auntie Chiu say, "Back when Master married Madam, he had already taken in Luo Shi and me. I remember the first time I saw Madam, I was stunned by her looks. It's the first time I've seen such a beautiful person. Auntie Chiu, I believe what you say. After all, I'm already so good looking." "My mother must be even better looking," interjected Yun Chujio. The corner of Auntie Chiu's eyes twitched. It was obvious that she had never met such a shameless person. She paused for a moment, then, she continued, "At the beginning, Master was very attentive to Madam. But for some reason, he became more and more cold towards her. He almost never entered Madam's room. Then, on the day when Madam was about to give birth, young Miss mysteriously disappeared. Madam stayed in bed and passed away in less than a year." As Auntie Chiu said this, her eyes turned slightly red. She could only sigh at the fact that a beautiful woman had a short life. Not only was the Yi family beautiful, but their spiritual power was also very high. They actually died without a sound. Yun Chujo blinked her eyes and then asked, Auntie Chiu, what about my maternal family? My mother died and they didn't come to take a look. Auntie Chiu sighed and said, I also heard that Madam's maternal family, the Yi family, is a first-class family in the eastern continent. However, Madam's mother is only a concubine, so Madam's status in the Yi family is very ordinary. But even so, logically speaking, the old master should not be able to reach her. But for some reason, Madam's name was removed from the Yi family and she ended up in Fengli City. The old master admires Madam's beauty and I don't know what method he used to convince Madam to marry down. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. After listening to Auntie Chiu's explanation, Yun Chujo felt that there were still many doubts in her words, but she could roughly guess the Zhao family's intention in marrying her. Although the Yi family had removed her mother's name, she might one day be recognized by the Yi family as her granddaughter. If she could really be related to the Yi family, then the Zhao family would have a meteoric rise. One had to know that the Yi family was a first-class family in the eastern continent, while the Mo family and the Ben family were just barely third-class families. As for why the Mo family did not have any plans for her, it was probably because they were guilty of something and were afraid that the Yi family would look for the cause of the Yi family's death. Auntie Chiu, may I know my mother's name? Yi Lan, Madam's lawn is not the orchid of the orchid grass, but a magnificent one. I'm not afraid of being laughed at by the eldest miss. This is the first time I've seen a woman's name use the word Lan. As expected, she's from a big family. Auntie Chiu could not help but recall the feeling she had when she first met Yi Lan. When she saw that woman, other than shock, she felt inferior. It was not only her appearance, but also the calmness of that woman. At that time, she only had one feeling in her heart. How could such a woman be worthy of the master? Why would she marry the master? This was simply like a fresh flower being placed on something. PN0, Yi Lan. Yun Chujo only muttered the name silently. Her nose was slightly sore and tears almost fell from her eyes. She could not help but be shocked. Was this the wonder of blood ties? However, how could a woman with such a famous name be willing to be the wife of a good-for-nothing snack? Yun Chujo was puzzled and asked again, Auntie Chiu, then how did I disappear? Logically speaking, my mother should have given birth to me in the Mo residence's old residence, right? There are many guards. How could I disappear for no reason? Well, I'm not too sure about the details. It's just that I remember the day when my wife gave birth. It was supposed to be a sunny day, but then there was suddenly lightning and thunder, and then I heard that you had gone missing. Lightning and thunder. Could it be that this body had also been struck by lightning to the Qingxian continent? What was going on with the seed of the Guaichao? The more Yun Chujo thought about it, the more she felt that things were not as simple as she had thought. However, no matter what, she had finally gained something. The Yi family. At the critical moment, she could use the Yi family to scare the Mo family. If she had the opportunity to go to the Yi family and mess around, it would not be a bad thing. At least, she would be able to find out why her mother had been expelled from the Yi family. If someone had framed her, then she would let them die together with her mother. Auntie Chiu, where is my mother's grave? I have time to pay my respects. Auntie Chiu wanted to say something but hesitated. It was obvious that she could not say it out loud. Yun Chujia's eyes darkened. Auntie Chiu, tell me the truth. I will not let anyone trace it back to you. When my mother died, she should have been buried in the Mo family's grave. However, Master did not bury her there for some reason. Instead, he buried her in a barren land 10 miles away from the Mo family's grave. Auntie Chiu said with some apprehension. When is the date of my mother's death? Yun Chujo narrowed her eyes. Mo Cheng, very good. We are not afraid to settle our scores. Let's wait and see. The first day of the 5th month. Let's calculate the date. 3 days later will be the date of Madame's death. Yun Chuzhou nodded and chatted with Auntie Chiu about some other matters before she bade farewell and left. Mo Fangqin saw that Yun Chuzhou had left and quickly asked Auntie Chiu, "Auntie Chiu, what did Big Sister ask you?" Auntie Chiu lowered her voice and told her everything. Mo Fangqin's heart tightened. A country bumpkin would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. She was afraid that her father would suffer. The next morning, Yun Chuzhou arrived at Mo Xiaoting's study room. Mo Xiaoting was shocked when he saw Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou's eyes were red and swollen. It was obvious that she had cried. "Fang Chao, what? What happened to you?" "Grandfather, I had a dream last night. I dreamt of my mother and she blamed me for not visiting her after returning for so long. I woke up and cried out loud. I was so unfilial. Grandfather, where is my mother's grave?" "I'll take some paper money tomorrow to pay my respects," Yun Chuzhou said as she began to cry. Mo Xiaoting's eyes flickered. He sighed, "Fang Chao, there are some things that you may not know about since you just returned. When your mother passed away, she said that you were missing and that she didn't have the face to be buried in the Mo family's grave. So, we had no choice but to respect her wishes and bury her not too far from the Mo family's grave. This way, we won't go against her wishes and it will be easier for us to take care of her. Grandfather, since this is my mother's last wish, let's just do as she says. I heard that the day after tomorrow will be the anniversary of my mother's death. I want to pay my respects." Yun Chuzhou laughed coldly in her heart. This old fox was really good with words. He had simply buried her in the wilderness, yet he spoke in such a dignified manner. No wonder his 3 sons were so useless. It turned out he was the only one who had his eyes on him. Mo Xiaoting naturally couldn't stop him, so he said, "I'll get someone to prepare the sacrifice. When the time comes, you can go and pay your respects." Yun Chuzhou chatted with Mo Xiaoting for a while longer before she turned around and left Mo Xiaoting's study room. Mo Xiaoting thought for a while before he called housekeeper He in, immediately arranged for someone to clean up the Yi family's grave. If there's anything wrong, fix it. Yes. That afternoon, manager He ran into Mo Xiaoting's study room sweating profusely. "Master, something's wrong. Something's happened." Mo Xiaoting's heart tightened. "What happened?" "Madame Yes' grave was secretly dug out. When we rushed over, we only found a collapsed tombstone and even the coffin was missing. I've ordered someone to stand guard on the spot." "Master, what should we do next?" Mo Xiaoting couldn't help but frown. But, this wasn't surprising. The Yi family's grave was a solitary one and no one was guarding it. So, it was only natural that there would be people coveting the treasures inside. That was why they dug up the grave. Immediately buy a coffin and bury it inside. Keep this a secret and don't let Fang Chao find out, Mo Xiaoting said after a moment of silence. Yes. Housekeeper He immediately led his men to the coffin shop and bought a coffin before rushing to the Yi family's grave. Housekeeper He took out an empty coffin and was about to bury it when he heard a cold snort. He then saw Yun Chuzhou walking out of a nearby forest with He Shi and the others. Manager He stumbled. This was bad. Why is this little ancestor here? Manager He braced himself and walked in front of Yun Chuzhou. After bowing, he said, "Miss Fang Chao, you. Why are you here?" Yun Chuzhou sneered, "Why am I here? If I didn't come, are you planning to bury it in an empty coffin? My mother is the wife of the official wife of the Mo family. Her grave is unguarded and has been stolen. If I hadn't come to pay my respects, this tombstone would have disappeared sooner or later, right?" Housekeeper He's head was covered in cold sweat, but he didn't say anything. The truth was laid out here, and no matter what he said, it would be useless. One could imagine the anger in Yin Chujia's heart. The Mo family was really too cold-hearted. How much did they dislike the Mo family? Why would they treat the Yi family like this? Housekeeper, he saw that Yun Chujio did not speak, so he did not dare to say anything. His heart was in a mess. This Miss Fong Chao was the best at causing trouble. Wouldn't she turn the Mo family upside down this time? Housekeeper, do you know that you are planning to use an empty coffin to deceive me? Yun Chujio asked as she stared at Housekeeper. Housekeeper, he did not dare to betray Mo, shouting. He could only swallow his anger. Miss, I was blinded by the lard and did something stupid. Please punish me. You are my grandfather's man. Let me handle you. However, you have been disrespectful to my mother. You can't let this go. Go dig up the gravestone and carry it back to the Mo residence, Yun Chujio said coldly. Housekeeper, he almost fell to the ground. Carry it back. This tombstone weighed at least 400 to 500 kilograms. If he carried it back to the Mo residence, he probably wouldn't be able to straighten his back the next day. However, he knew Yun Chujio's character. If he didn't carry it, Yun Chujio had plenty of ways to make him submit. Therefore, he had no choice but to get someone to dig up the tombstone and tie it on his back with a rope. You guys, put the soil here in a sack. Each of you will carry a sack. Yun Chujio said to the guards. Seeing that Housekeeper he had given in, the guards did not dare to object and began to dig. Housekeeper, he was about to cry. He thought that Yun Chujio must have done it on purpose, but he did not dare to leave first. He could only wait by the side with a sad face. Yun Chujio kept her eyes on the dug-up grave. There were no scattered bones or other things inside. If someone had really robbed the grave, at most, they would have stolen some funerary objects. How could the coffin and the corpse be missing? Even if the corpse had been eaten by a demon beast, there shouldn't be no bones left. To take a step back, even if the corpse was dragged to another place to be eaten, what about the coffin? The Mo family wouldn't be willing to let mother use a good coffin. How could someone steal a coffin? Yun Chujio said in her heart, Mother, little Jio will bring you back to the Mo family. Don't worry, I will definitely help you get back what you've done. Whether it's the Mo family or the Yi family, I will not let go of anyone who has wronged you in the past. After a while, the few guards filled the sack with soil and obediently carried it up, waiting for Yun Chujio's orders. Yun Chujio snorted coldly and walked at the front. Hei Shi and the other three followed behind her, while Housekeeper he and the guards walked at the back, panting. As soon as they entered Fengli City, this strange group immediately attracted the attention of many people. Someone was quick-witted. When he saw the words on the tombstone, he whispered, This seems to be the tombstone of the Mo family's Madame Yi, which is also Miss Fong Chao's mother's tombstone. Why did they carry the tombstone back? What's in those people's sacks? It seems to be soil. What are they trying to do? When I passed by that place before, I saw that Madame Yi's grave seemed to have been dug up by someone. TSK, the dignified Mo family's young madam was actually buried in such a desolate place. Moreover, her grave was even dug up by someone. Miss Fong Chao will definitely not let this matter rest. Is this for real? Isn't the way the Mo family handles things a little too unethical? The Yi family's madam is Mo Cheng's official wife, yet there's not even a corpse left behind. This is too tragic. Housekeeper he felt his head buzzing when he heard everyone's finger pointing at him. It's over, it's over. The head of the family would definitely vent his anger on him. Perhaps this housekeeper had done his best. The group of people quickly arrived outside the Mo residence. Yun Chujio said coldly, Housekeeper you guys pour all the soil here and then erect the tombstone. I reckon that no one would dare to secretly dig out my mother's grave outside the Mo residence's main gate. Housekeeper he directly laid on the ground and put up the Yi family's tombstone outside the Mo residence's main gate. Never heard of anyone putting up a tombstone outside their main gate? Oh my God, you're going to heaven. Housekeeper. He got up from the ground and carefully said, Miss Fong Chao, you'd better go see the patriarch first. I believe the patriarch will handle this matter properly. Yun Chujio raised her hand and gave housekeeper he a slap. You deceitful slave. You actually tried to fool me with an empty coffin and now you want me to go find grandfather. Did grandfather tell you to do that? Put up the tombstone right now or he'll kill you. Housekeeper. He was originally glad that Yun Chujio didn't punish him because she asked him to carry the tombstone, but now he realized that she was waiting for him here. He was on the verge of breaking down. He completely believed that Yun Chujio would really dare to kill him and that Mo Xiaoting wouldn't do anything. After all, Miss Fong Chao was now the Mo residence's cash cow. Housekeeper. He weighed the pros and cons and could only grit his teeth as he led the guards to build a grave outside the Mo residence. Yun Chujio took out the offerings and laid them out before burning some paper money. As she burned, she cried, Mother, I'm unfilial. I've let you down. I'm so sorry that you can't even find your bones. Don't worry, if anyone dares to touch your grave in the future, I'll skin them and whip their bones. I'll make sure they die a horrible death. Of course, Mo Xiaoting had heard about the commotion outside. The only reason he did not step out to stop it was because he was trying to figure out how to end it. This incident was indeed the second brother's doing. It was no wonder that Fong Chao would do something so extreme. Before Mo Xiaoting could think of a solution, another guard came over to report, Master, something bad has happened. Second Master has reprimanded Miss Fong Chao. Miss Fong Chao is going to hang herself at the door. Mo Xiaoting felt his head buzzing and he couldn't help but blame Mo Cheng in his heart. This matter was already difficult to handle, yet this idiot had come to cause trouble again. He was a complete failure. Mo Xiaoting had no choice but to brace himself and walk out the front door. Mo Cheng was shouting angrily, Unfilial daughter. How dare you erect a grave outside the front door? You are simply making trouble. It would be great if you were dead. Our Mo family doesn't have someone as unfilial as you. On the other side, Yun Chujio had already tied up the rope and was crying, My mother's bones are all gone and my father is still scolding me for being unfilial. What's the point of me living? I'll just die. The onlookers couldn't stand it anymore. What was the Mo family doing? Their mother's bones were all gone, and now they were forcing their daughter to die. Mo Cheng was simply a heartless dog. No wonder he was cheated on by Luo Shi. He deserved it. Second brother. Shut up. Go back to your own courtyard. Mo Xiaoting said angrily. Father, you have no idea how this unfilial daughter, Mo Cheng defended himself. I told you to shut up, don't you understand? Get in. Mo Cheng noticed Mo Xiaoting's expression was dark, so he glared at Yun Chujio before turning around and entering the Mo residence. Mo Xiaoting took a deep breath and said to Yun Chujio, Fong Chao, what are you doing? You've always been the most sensible person. If there's a problem, just solve it. Can you solve it by messing around like this? Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. If she didn't mess around like this, would she let you use an empty coffin to fool me? However, now was not the time to shed all pretenses with the Mo residents. There was no need to be afraid of settling scores. Let's wait and see. Grandfather, I also know that what I did was a little overboard. However, when I saw that my mother's grave had been dug up, my heart was broken. I really couldn't believe that the dignified wife of the Mo residents had actually fallen into such a situation. The most hateful thing was that this housekeeper he actually wanted to use an empty coffin to fool me. And my father, he actually said that it was good that I was dead. What was the point of me being alive? I'd better go find my mother. Yun Chujio said as she placed her head into the knot, looking as if she was about to hang herself. Mo shouting felt as if he was sitting on pins and needles as he gritted his teeth. He sighed, Fong Chao, what are you doing? Grandfather will make the decision for you. Don't worry, grandfather will send people to investigate the whereabouts of your mother's bones. If someone really stole them, they will not let him off easily. Grandfather will find someone to choose a date to give your mother a grand burial and bury her in the Mo residence's grave. As for the unruly housekeeper, he will be punished with 100 strokes of the cane and chased out of the Mo family. Hearing Mo Xiaoting's words, housekeeper he almost fainted. 100 strokes of the cane wasn't a big deal, but being chased out of the Mo family meant that his days of wealth were over. Grandfather, since you say so, then we will do as you say. However, although housekeeper he has made a huge mistake this time, I have already punished him. Furthermore, he is your right-hand man. You should give him a lighter sentence, Yun Chujio said with a sigh. Hearing Yun Chujio's words, Mo Shouting let out a sigh of relief. It seemed, even though Fong Chao was sad, she still knew what was at stake. But, what could a little girl like her do? Didn't she still have to rely on the Mo residents to survive? Alright, since Fong Chao is pleading on his behalf, let's change it to 100 strokes of the cane. Housekeeper he kowtowed gratefully to Mo Shouting and Yun Chujio. As long as she could keep her title as the Mo residence's housekeeper, it was worth it to give her 200 strokes of the cane, not to mention 100. Grandfather, I'm not in a good mood. I'll be going in now. I'll be taking my mother's tombstone with me, Yun Chujio said as she put the tombstone into her storage ring and wiped her tears as she entered the Mo residence. Mo Shouting turned around and walked into the Mo residence awkwardly. Housekeeper he arranged for someone to put the soil back into a sack. He did not dare to throw it away. Who knew if his ancestor would want the soil again? After this incident, Yun Chujio was a jinx in housekeeper he's heart. He could not afford to offend her. Yun Chujio returned to her room and sighed as she looked at the Yi family's tombstone. Mother, it's not that little Jiu doesn't want to avenge you, it's just that now is not the right time. Don't worry, I will work hard and one day, I will be able to find out the truth and give you justice. As expected, Mo Shouting found someone to calculate the time and prepared to make a cenotaph for the Yi family. However, he discovered that there was not a single piece of clothing from the Yi family. In the end, he had no choice but to put the blanket that Yun Chujio was wrapped in into the coffin. Only then did he build a cenotaph for the Yi family at the Mo family's cemetery. During this time, Mo Cheng found Mo Shouting and wanted to object. But, he was scolded by Mo Shouting before he finally stopped. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. After reburying the Yi family's burial mound, Yun Chujio saw that the matter with the Zhao family had been resolved and decided to find a place to continue the trial. Of course, she couldn't go to the fallen phoenix forest. If the high-level beasts were to seek revenge, it would be bad. That morning, Yun Chujio arrived at Mo Xiaoting's study room. Before she could mention the trial, housekeeper he came over to report, Master, someone from the original family has arrived. Mo Shouting immediately stood up and asked nervously, who is it? It seems to be a housekeeper. I heard the servants address him as Manager Lu, housekeeper he said uncertainly. Mo Shouting was extremely unhappy. Even if he had sent a junior, he would at least be a master. Yet, he had only sent a mere housekeeper. This meant that he had no respect for Guangshuan branch of Fengli City, his family had gone too far. Yun Chujio caught a glimpse of Mo Xiaoting's expression and could guess what he was thinking, so, she said, Grandfather, this family is too much of a bully. Come and take over the business of the 7-star lucky card. Even if you send someone of my generation over, it's fine. They actually sent a manager over. They don't think much of us. Mo Shouting scoffed, I can't help it. Who asked me to be so powerful? Back then, when Guangshunzi wasn't in decline, who would dare to look down on us? Not anymore. Forget it. There's no point in being angry. I'll go over and meet them. Grandfather, I'll go with you, Yun Chujio said eagerly. Mo Shouting thought about it and realized that the 7-star lucky card was Yun Chujio's idea. She knew more about the specifics, so it wasn't a problem for her to go. So, Mo Shouting brought Yun Chujio to the living room. Inside the living room, a Sanjiaoyan old man sat on a chair with a teacup in his hand. The man did not get up when he saw Yun Chujio and Mo Shouting enter. He did not even put down the teacup in his hand as he continued to drink his tea. Mo Shouting felt even more displeased. He sat down on the main seat while Yun Chujio sat opposite the Sanjiaoyan old man. At this time, Sanjiaoyan finally put down his teacup and did not get up. He simply sat there and cupped his fists at Mo Shouting. Fourth Master, I am the manager of the Mo family, my surname is Lu. I am here to take over the 7-star lucky card business. When I entered the city, I went to the shop that sells 7-star lucky cards. In order to make it easier for our people to take over, you can leave the shop to us. We won't take advantage of you. Here are 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. I'll treat it as buying your shop. Because Mo Xiaoting's grandfather was ranked 4th in the Mo family, Manager Lu addressed Mo Shouting as 4th Master. However, his tone did not contain any respect. Mo Xiaoting's veins were popping out. The grocery store was in an excellent position. It was worth at least 10 million high-grade spirit stones, yet he only offered 100,000. This wasn't buying, it was simply robbing. Manager Lu, we have another use for that store. You should find another store. Mo Shouting finally managed to suppress the anger in his heart. Manager Liu's expression immediately darkened. 4th Master, what do you mean by this? Even if our family wanted to buy it from you, wouldn't you still have to give it to us? Don't forget, if it wasn't for our family backing you up, your Guangshunzi would never have a foothold in the Western continent. Mo Shouting was about to explode from anger. This slave was too arrogant. How was this the attitude of a slave speaking to his master? Pan 00 Just as Mo Shouting was about to explode from anger, a sudden change occurred. Clang! A teacup smashed towards Manager Lu. Manager Lu was caught off guard and blood immediately oozed out from his forehead. Tea leaves were smeared all over his face. Manager Lu was stunned. After he reacted, he said angrily, "Little bitch. How dare you hit me with a teacup? You're courting death." "I'm sorry, I was drinking tea, but my hand slipped and the teacup flew out." Yun Chujio crossed her legs and lied without any sincerity. "You. 4th Master, who is this bitch? Are you going to let her do this?" "If you don't care, I'll do it myself," Manager Lu said angrily. Mo Xiaoting's expression was dark. "Manager Lu, this is my granddaughter, Fang Chao." Mo Shouting was implying that she was the master and he was the slave. Calling her a bitch was too much. Unexpectedly, Manager Lu did not buy it at all. He scoffed, "Since you are a young lady, you should act like one. 4th Master's upbringing is far worse than mine." As soon as Manager Lu finished speaking, Yun Chujio jumped in front of him and gave him 2 tight slaps. Following that, she kicked Manager Lu in the waist. Manager Lu was directly kicked to the door of the living room. Coincidentally, he knocked on the door sill, and both of his front teeth were broken. Manager Lu felt that his waist was almost broken. It was not easy for him to get up, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. With a ferocious expression, he gave Yun Chujio a slap. Yun Chujio nimbly dodged. The reason why she dared to hit Manager Lu like this was because she found out that Manager Lu was only at the 8th level of the spiritual venerable realm. This guy was very smart. The two of them did not use any spiritual power, and Yun Chujio was extremely fast. In less than a dozen moves, Manager Lu was once again kicked to the ground by Yun Chujio. "You slave! How dare you call me a slut? Tell me, who is a slut? Yun Chujio held a large kitchen knife in her hand and rubbed it against Manager Liu's face. Fourth master, are you going to let this little miss treat me like this? Manager Lu swallowed the word slut. Mo Xiaoting had long been unhappy with Manager Lu. Although he felt that Yun Chujio was a little impulsive, he knew that she was a scheming person, so, he said symbolically, Fang Chao, what are you doing? Hurry up and let Manager Lu go. Yun Chujio gave Manager Lu another 2 slaps, you shameless bastard, how dare you complain? Not only are you disrespectful to my grandfather, you even dare to call me a slut. Even if I kill you, I won't be able to say anything. You, a 7th grade official in front of the Prime Minister's door. You hitting me is equivalent to slapping my face. Let me go. Manager Lu said with a stern face but a weak heart. He did not take this small branch seriously at all, who would have thought that he would meet a freak like Yun Chujio who was not afraid of anything. Let go of you. In your dreams. Tell me, who's the bitch? Yun Chujio gently sliced Manager Liu's face open with the kitchen knife. I won't let you off. Manager Lu screamed in pain. Yun Chujio curled her lips and sliced his face again, who's the bitch? I'm a bitch. Miss Fang Chao, please let me off. Manager Lu saw that Mo Xiaoting had remained silent, plus, Yun Chujio really did have the guts to make a move. So, she gritted her teeth and gave a perfunctory reply. When the time came, she would deal with this slut. So you're a slut. TSK, slut Lu, then tell me, did you come up with the idea of buying our shop with 100,000 spiritual stones or did I come up with it? After asking, Yun Chujio secretly opened the recording stone. Of course this is my intention. I'm just following orders. Manager Lu saw that Yun Chujio's large kitchen knife was about to fall down again, so he quickly said. Oh. My intention? Our shop is worth at least 10 million high-grade spirit stones, and I want to buy it for 100,000 spirit stones. Isn't this a bit too unscrupulous? The Mo family and the Ben family are a big family, how could they act like this? Humph, it must be you, this dog servant, lying. Yun Chujio said angrily. This is really my master's idea, how could a mere manager like me dare to make decisions without permission? After Yun Chujio turned off the recording stone. Then, she patted Manager Liu's face with the big kitchen knife and said, Bitch Lu, are you thinking that after I let you go, you will complain to me? And then I will force my grandfather to punish me? Manager Liu's eyes flickered. Miss Fangcao, you are thinking too much. I deserve it. How would I dare to complain? Humph. To tell you the truth, if I dare to beat you, I am not afraid of you complaining. Come, I will let go of you now. You can complain and see what I will say. As Yun Chujio spoke, she really let go of Manager Lu, she slowly returned to her seat. Manager Liu's expression immediately changed, little bitch, how dare you treat me like this? Just you wait. After speaking, Manager Lu took out a voice transmission talisman. Although Yun Chujio and Mo Xiaoting did not know what he said, they could tell from his expression that he was definitely adding fuel to the fire. Not long after Manager Lu put down the voice transmission talisman, Mo Xiaoting's voice transmission talisman began to tremble. After Mo Xiaoting sent his spiritual sense into it, he heard the displeased voices of the 5 families' uncles, shouting, Manager Lu may be a servant, but he is still a member of our family. When you beat up a dog, you still have to look at the owner. What do you mean by that? Tell that Fang Chao to apologize to Manager Lu. Otherwise, HMPH. Mo Xiaoting was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Tell the owner to apologize to a servant. Could it be that the master of Guangshuan branch wasn't even as good as his own servant? But, if he didn't do as he was told, his family would definitely not let this matter rest. What should he do? Just as Mo Xiaoting was in a difficult situation, Yun Chuzhou jumped to his side and whispered into his ear. Mo Xiaoting nodded his head repeatedly, then, she picked up the voice transmission talisman and said, "Uncle Wu, there might be some misunderstanding. Manager Lu said that he wanted to use 100,000 high-grade spirit stones to buy our shop, which is worth tens of millions of spirit stones. He even said that it was your idea. This is blatant slander. How could you make such an unreasonable request? Isn't this a slap to your face? If word of this got out, it would definitely damage the family and your reputation. That's why Fang Chao taught Manager Lu a lesson. Uncle Wu Zhu, if you really made this request, our Guangshunzi wouldn't say a word. After all, we have already offered up our 7-star lucky card business. We don't need this shop." After a while, Mo Xiaoting and Manager Liu's voice transmission talisman did not respond. It was obvious that the family had not decided what to do. Yun Chuzhou couldn't help but sneer. This was a classic example of being a whore and building a monument. How shameless. She was certain that the family would scold Manager Lu and push the blame onto Manager Lu. Sure enough, after a while, Manager Liu's voice transmission talisman began to vibrate. Manager Liu's proud face quickly turned into fear and trepidation. After putting down the voice transmission talisman, he squeezed out a smile and said, "Fourth Master, Miss Fang Chao, I was blinded by lard just now, so I just spouted nonsense. We will pay as much as that shop should be paid." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Xiaoting looked at Manager Lu, who was missing 2 front teeth, and the corner of his eye twitched. "Since it's a misunderstanding, let's turn the tables. Someone, take Manager Lu and his entourage to the guest house to rest." Just as Manager Lu was about to turn around and leave, he heard Yun Chuzhou say, "Manager Lu, are you leaving just like that? You broke one of our teacups and gave me a fright. Don't you want to express your gratitude?" Manager Lu staggered. He couldn't believe his ears. "What? I broke one of your teacups? You were the one who smashed it, all right. You were frightened and even my front teeth fell out. Who am I going to look for?" However, when he saw Yun Chuzhou waving the large kitchen knife twice in her hand, his old face smiled like a flower and said, "Miss Fangcao, then how many spirit stones do you think you need to compensate me?" "Not too much. After all, you don't have much savings as a servant. I'll give you a 99 to 81 discount. You just need to compensate me with 1 million spirit stones," Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Manager Lu widened his triangular eyes and said angrily, "Miss Fangcao, don't go too far. Why don't you rob me of 1 million spirit stones?" PN0M Yun Chuzhou glanced at him and took out the recording stone from her storage ring. Manager Liu's voice came out from it, "Of course this is my intention. I'm just a small manager, how could I dare to make the decision on my own? TSK, Manager Lu, tell me, when I hand this over to my family, will it be fun?" Yun Chuzhou said with a half-smile. "Fun your head." Manager Lu was so angry that he was going to die. This insidious little bitch actually recorded it. If she really brought this up, the higher-ups would definitely punish him severely. Manager Lu took a deep breath. "Miss Fangcao, should I give you 1 million spiritual stones and you'll erase the content?" "Of course. As long as the money is in place, there's no problem that can't be solved." Yun Chuzhou smiled brightly as she received another small sum of money. Manager Lu gritted his teeth and transferred 1 million high-grade spiritual stones to Yun Chuzhou. He then stared at Yun Chuzhou as she erased the content of the recording. Only then did he angrily follow the servant to the guest house. Yun Chuzhou crossed her legs and said to Mo Xiaoting, "Grandfather, sometimes you have to be a little more aggressive when dealing with enemies. Otherwise, everyone will think that we are easy to bully. Although the Zhao family was powerful, they were still on the eastern continent. They would be suppressed by all sorts of forces. He would not send people to destroy us for no reason. Besides, he still had to make a name for himself. He couldn't bear the notoriety of killing his own family. Besides, since he had already spoken to the Zhao family, he couldn't go back on his words and ask them to deal with us. So, you don't have to worry about that bitch Lu complaining. Even if we treat him with respect, he might not speak up for us. He might even scold us behind our backs for being weak and easy to bully. Mo Xiaoding's heart shook. He had never thought about Yun Chujia's words because in his heart, his family was like a retired emperor that he couldn't afford to offend. But, after hearing Yun Chujia's words, he realized she had a point. His family wasn't as scary as he thought. Furthermore, Guang Xuanji had already contributed to the 7-star lucky card business. What else did they want? Mo Xiaoting felt a little relieved, but he was still a little worried. Fang Chao, although what you said makes sense, what if Manager Lu does something bad when he takes over the 7-star lucky card? Grandfather, don't worry. I may have erased the contents of the recording stone, but I recorded 3 at the same time. If he doesn't behave, I will teach him a lesson, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Mo Xiaoting. A thought flashed through Mo Xiaoding's mind. Luckily, he did not marry Fang Chao to the Zhao family. Otherwise, based on her personality, she might not be able to retaliate against the Mo family. Yun Chujio and Mo Xiaoting chatted for a while longer before turning around and leaving. Mo Xiaoting immediately asked housekeeper He to call Mo Cheng into the study room. Second brother, you better keep that matter to yourself. If you dare to say anything, don't blame me for being a ruthless father. After speaking, Mo Xiaoting glared coldly at Mo Cheng. Yes, father. Don't worry, I will keep my mouth shut. Mo Cheng had a feeling that if he didn't agree, Mo Xiaoting would kill him right now. Mo Xiaoding's expression softened a little. The matter with Luoshi will be over soon. It's time for you to pull yourself together. I think that Qiushi is very responsible. If I can give you another man and woman, then you should help her get promoted. Mo Cheng did not dare to object and quickly agreed. After the incident with Luoshi, he still had lingering fear towards shrewd women. He felt that Auntie Chiu was the most reliable. On the other side, Yun Chujio returned to hear He Xian and was in a daze. She couldn't go to the trial for the time being, so what should she do? As she thought about it, her heart skipped a beat. She had never learned the high-level physical transformation technique, so she might as well use this time to study it. Yun Chujio called He Shi over. He Shi, don't go anywhere this afternoon. Explain the high-level physical transformation technique to me. He Shi looked confused and at a loss. Miss, this high-level physical transformation technique cannot be learned in one afternoon, and I don't know how to explain it. Why don't you ask the master to find a teacher who specializes in teaching you the physical transformation technique? Aren't you going to pay for it? There's no need to talk so much nonsense. Hurry up and have lunch. Then come over and explain it to me. Yun Chujio glared at him. He Shi shrunk his neck and didn't dare to speak. However, he didn't think much of it. He felt that Yun Chujio was just acting out. How could he learn the high-level materialization technique with just a few words? Forget it. Since the little ancestor would not be able to learn it by then, he would naturally get the master to invite a teacher for her. That afternoon, He Shi came to hear He Xian ramble on about a few key points of a high-level physical transformation technique. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and asked a few more questions. Then, she said, "All right, I've learned enough. You can go back now." He Shi was dumbfounded. What the hell? He learned it in less than 4 hours. Impossible. Perhaps this little ancestor didn't understand at all, so he just gave up on learning it. It must be the case. After He Shi left, Yun Chuzhou began to study the high-level physical transformation technique. In fact, the low-level, middle-level, and high-level physical transformation techniques were similar. The general principle was the same, but there were some slight differences. Yun Chuzhou pondered for a while in the house, and then went to the courtyard to practice. Anyway, Mo Fangqin went to Auntie Chiu's place, and Qin Lu and Qin Ji were also sent out by her. After several experiments, she finally succeeded. However, Yun Chuzhou was a little confused as she looked at the piglets jumping around happily. Didn't they say that the high-level physical transformation technique could only transform into one spiritual beast? Why did she create a group of them? Yun Chuzhou looked at them carefully again. Other than being more lively and smarter, these piglets did not seem to be much different from the ones created by the middle-level physical transformation technique. Yun Chuzhou could not help but feel a little discouraged. Initially, she thought that the high-level physical transformation technique could be very awesome. She did not expect that there was not much improvement. Yun Chuzhou was no longer in the mood to watch the piglets jump around. She turned around and entered the house. Since her spiritual power had been exhausted, the piglets had also dissipated. What Yun Chuzhou did not know was that after the piglet's spiritual power had been exhausted, they did not dissipate immediately. Instead, they gathered into a purple piglet. The purple piglet was even more agile. It hopped around for a while before dissipating. Yun Chuzhou knew nothing about this. After the piglet returned to the room, it continued to cultivate. A few days later, Manager Lu was up to something again. He wanted to get back at him. After Yun Chuzhou found him, she did not say anything. She took out the recording stone and a familiar smell and formula came out from it. Manager Lu was so angry that he was about to puke. Didn't you erase the content last time? Why is there more? You lied to me. Yun Chuzhou shook her finger at him. Wrong. I didn't lie to you. I did erase the content on that recording stone. But I found that I still have another recording stone. Don't you think it's magical? Magical your ass. Manager Lu wanted to strangle Yun Chuzhou to death, but Yun Chuzhou had something on her, so he could only admit defeat. In the end, not only did he compromise, but he also spent another 1 million spiritual stones to erase the content on this recording stone. In the following period of time, Manager Lu learned from his mistakes and was very honest. He had thought it through. A strong dragon would not suppress a local snake, and he was not afraid of settling accounts. When he found an opportunity, he would deal with that little slut. Finally, the 7-star lucky card business was completed. For some reason, Manager Lu did not buy the Mo family's grocery store. Instead, he bought a store in another town and began to operate the 7-star lucky card. Not only that, he quickly opened a lot of 7-star lucky card stores in the Western continent. It could be said that he had made a fortune. Mo Xiaoding's red-eyed illness was acting up. He sighed all day long. The money had originally belonged to them, but now, it had been taken by the Mo family for free. It was practically daylight robbery. Grandfather, it doesn't matter if I give them the 7-star lucky card business. I have plenty of ways to earn money, but it's too cowardly to just swallow it. Yun Chuzhou added fuel to the fire. Sigh. Even if we can't swallow it, we have to swallow it. Do you have a way to get justice? It's impossible to get justice. After all, we are too weak, but we can still take advantage of this opportunity to get some benefits, Yun Chuzhou said as she blinked. Mo Xiaoding's eyes lit up. What benefits? Grandfather, I heard that although people from the Eastern continent can travel between the two continents, people from the Western continent are not allowed to enter and leave the Eastern continent. Is that a rule? That's true, Mo Xiaoding said with a disappointed expression. In a way, he wasn't as good as Manager Lu. At least, Manager Lu was allowed to enter and leave the two continents, but he wasn't. Grandfather, we can make a fuss about this. Tell the family to get some good stuff from the eastern continent and we will split the profits 50-50, Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. The people of the East continent did not want to do business like this. Since the people of the West continent could not do business like this, it was a good opportunity for her. Mo Shouting was stunned for a moment before he was overjoyed. Yes, this was such a simple way to make money. Why did no one think of it? Everyone thought that the two continents were incompatible. As long as there was a way to communicate, this idea could be turned into reality. Moreover, this kind of business had one advantage, which was that it could ask for sky-high prices. Grandfather, our family is insatiable. At first, you didn't say 50-50, you said 30-70. We had 7, they had 3. Wait until they say some excuse, you then a little bit of concessions, finally make a 50-50 split, and let them feel that a big advantage. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes and said. Mo Shouting nodded his head. It had to be said that this little girl was a natural-born businessman. Her methods were simply too deep. Grandfather, actually, I'm not just doing this to make money. I have another important purpose, Yun Chuzhou said mysteriously. Mo Shouting was stunned. What purpose? Isn't the purpose of doing business to make money? Grandfather, haven't you always wanted to return to the East continent? This is the first step. In the past, our relationship with the family was purely based on a thin blood relationship. It wasn't reliable at all. The family could have abandoned us at any time. But, once they started this business, especially after the business grew bigger, the relationship between the family and US became closer. If someone tries to deal with us, our family will not stand by and do nothing for their benefit. In addition, we will definitely need people in this business. When that time comes, we won't have to worry about not having the opportunity to connect with our family. This money will move people's hearts. As long as you are willing to put in a lot of money, I don't believe that I won't be able to find a good opportunity. Someone has tipped us off and helped us put in a good word. If we put in more effort, we might be able to find a suitable opportunity. To return to the Eastern continent, Yun Chuzhou's eyes shone brightly. Opportunities were created. As long as one had the heart, there was nothing that couldn't be done. The more Mo Shouting listened, the more excited he became. The more he listened, the more he felt that rejecting the Zhao family's marriage was the right decision. This Feng Chao was definitely going to lead the Mo family back to the Eastern continent. This little girl was truly smart. She was simply too smart. Good. Good. Feng Chao, grandfather did not misjudge you. You are indeed resourceful. I will do as you say. I will contact Uncle Wu now, Mo Shouting said excitedly. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. Grandfather, don't tell him the entire plan. Just say half a sentence. Let him think about the rest and try to get him to take the initiative to cooperate with us. That way, we will have more initiative. Mo Shouting was stunned. He felt that all his years of business had been for nothing. Compared to this little pervert, he was like an idiot. Mo Shouting followed Yun Chuzhou's instructions and took out a voice transmission talisman to tell his uncle from the 5 families about some business ideas. After that, he did not go any further. 2 days later, his family contacted Mo Shouting and told him that they wanted to cooperate. Mo Shouting followed Yun Chuzhou's instructions. He said awkwardly, Uncle Wu, of course this is a good thing. But, our Guangshunzi has been quite wealthy for the past few years. Trading between the two continents is too risky. Give me a few days to think about it. After Mo Shouting put down his voice transmission talisman, he couldn't help but feel a lot of emotions. He had never heard Uncle Wu speak so gently. It seemed, Feng Chao's words made sense. Being in a hurry was not a business. One had to have a certain way of doing things. Following that, Mo Shouting followed Yun Chujia's plan and began to discuss business with his family. In the end, they agreed to a 50-50 split and the family felt that they had gained a huge advantage. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. In the end, the family decided that Manager Lu would be in charge of the specific matters on both sides for the time being. After all, he was quite experienced. When Manager Lu heard the news, he was not overjoyed. Instead, he almost fell to the ground. His heart was rejecting it. Because, through this period of contact, he had already confirmed and was absolutely certain that Yun Chujio was a demon who ate people without spitting out their bones. Have you ever heard of someone making multiple copies of a recording stone? Yes, it was that little demon. She had already extorted 5 million high-grade spirit stones from her. Who knew how many copies she had made? She was going to kill herself. This stupid girl was as smart as a demon. She was simply inhuman. Manager Liu's heart was filled with tears as he came to the Mo residence to see Mo Shouting and Yun Chujio. His attitude was completely different from before. Even when he sat on the chair, he only dared to sit on half of his butt, afraid that Yun Chujio would find fault with him. After Mo Shouting said a few polite words, Yun Chujio said, "Manager Liu, it seems like fate has brought us together. It looks like we are going to be working together for a long time. Are you happy?" Manager Liu gritted his teeth and said, yes, I'm very happy. Manager Liu, you don't have to worry about what happened in the past. As long as you know your place, I can make countless $5 million into your pocket. However, if you don't know what's good for you, don't you think it's normal for an accident to happen since the Western continent is so big and you brought so many good things here? Yun Chujio said with a faint smile. Manager Liu almost collapsed to the ground. Of course, he could hear Yun Chujio's hidden meaning. If he was not honest, this little devil would send people to kill him. Although he would bring a few guards to protect him in the future, if he was careless, this little devil might find an opportunity. Moreover, this little devil would definitely keep his word. Miss Fangcao, you can rest assured. I know what to do. Manager Liu said while wiping his sweat, afraid that Yun Chujio would really find a reason to kill him. Why are you so nervous? I'm just saying. No matter what, you are still a member of my family. I don't dare to do anything to you. Let's discuss the specific matter. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Manager Liu cursed in his heart, you don't dare. If you don't dare, then how did I lose my front teeth? If you don't dare, then how did my 5 million high-grade spirit stones end up in your pocket? PN0M. As Yun Chujio had prepared everything well in the beginning, the rest of the matter went smoothly. No matter what Yun Chujio said, Manager Liu only nodded his head in agreement. Mo Shouting couldn't help but laugh and sigh. If it wasn't for Fong Chao, Manager Liu would probably still have an arrogant look on his face. The wicked had their own ways. It made sense. Over the next period of time, the Mo family's business flourished. With the support of the Mo family, even the envious ones did not dare to provoke them. Mo Pang and Mo Chang could not help but be convinced. After all, they had more money than before. As for Mo Cheng, although he still did not like Yun Chujio, with Mo Shouting around, he did not dare to say anything. As a result, Yun Chujio's life was exceptionally comfortable. In the blink of an eye, it was the 9th day of the 7th month, Yun Chujio's 18th birthday. Mo Shouting naturally would not let go of this opportunity to make Yun Chujio feel grateful towards the Mo family. So, he held a grand birthday banquet for Yun Chujio. The Mo family invited many business partners and important people. That night, the Mo residence was bustling with activity. Although Yun Chujio was not interested in this hypocritical banquet, she was interested in receiving gifts from this guy. Now that Yun Chujio was the favorite of the Mo family, there were naturally many people who tried to curry favor with her. Even Mo Peng and the others did not dare to be negligent. The birthday gifts they gave were very expensive. This guy was very happy to receive gifts. At the end of the banquet, Yun Chujio used the excuse of being a little tired to return to Tingyi Xian. This guy sat on the bed and counted the gifts he received. He was so happy that he could not close his mouth. It would be great if he could have 10 or 8 birthdays a year. Warm, thinking about that, this guy missed Di Biming. However, she knew that Di Biming was in danger. She did not dare to use the voice transmission talisman to distract Di Biming. She could only take out Di Biming's portrait to relieve the pain of missing him. However, this portrait was a little special. Yes, Di Biming was naked. This guy was drooling as he looked at it. He was almost going to kiss it. As he looked at it, he mumbled, "Go Wei Bao. You idiot. It's all your fault. If it wasn't for you, I would have eaten the gigolo long ago. Now, the gigolo is just a side dish." The Guai Chao in his dantian curled up the leaves. He knew that the curses that came once every few days were about to start again. It had no choice. It had a guilty conscience, so it could only let Yun Chujio scold it as she pleased. It would be fine as long as it got used to it. If it did not hear the little girl's curses for many days, it would feel that something was missing. In a dark cave, Di Biming was sitting on a stone wall with blood all over his body. Although he had eaten a lot of hemostatic pills, his injuries this time were too serious. 2 days and 2 nights had already passed. He still hadn't recovered. If he continued to delay, those people would probably catch up. Di Biming closed his eyes to rest. He suddenly remembered that it was the 9th day of the 7th month. He took out the sound transmission talisman with great effort and sent his spiritual sense into it. "Little Jiu, happy birthday." Yun Chujio was drooling at Di Biming's portrait. When she saw that it was a sound transmission talisman sent by Di Biming, she couldn't help but be overjoyed. After hearing Di Biming's words, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. This pretty boy actually remembered my birthday. How thoughtful. Prince Charming, I miss you. You have to take care of your body. Don't be so stubborn. When it's time to be shameless, you have to throw caution to the wind. When Di Biming heard Yun Chujio's words, his originally cold expression became gentle. "Okay, I got it. You should rest early. I'll visit you when I have time. Okay, come, give me a kiss." Yun Chujio thought that Di Biming would only reply with an "okay." Unexpectedly, Di Biming's deep voice came from the voice transmission talisman. "Little Jiu, I miss you too. Take care." Yun Chujio could not believe it. The gigolo had actually become enlightened. This guy listened to it over and over again. Then, he happily rolled on the bed several times. She felt that this was the best birthday present she had received. On the other side, Di Biming felt dizzy. He didn't even have the strength to put the voice transmission talisman back into his storage ring. Just like that, he held the voice transmission talisman and fainted. On the other side, Yun Chujio happily rolled for a while before suddenly sitting up. "Pa-ndnovla." Something didn't seem right. The gigolo's words didn't seem like sweet words. Why did it feel like he was giving his last words? Was she overthinking things, or did something really happen to the gigolo? Yun Chujio's heart tightened. She quickly took out her voice transmission talisman. "Idol, are you okay?" After a while, the voice transmission talisman didn't respond. Yun Chujio panicked. Yun Chujio quickly took out another voice transmission talisman. "Prince Charming, what's wrong with you? Answer me quickly, don't scare me." "Prince Charming, if you receive a voice transmission talisman, reply me, even if it's just a yes. Gigolo. You bastard. What's wrong with you? Quickly say something. There was still no response from Di Biming. Yun Chuzhou panicked and quickly sent a voice transmission talisman to Enfeng, little lunatic, quickly send a voice transmission talisman to the gigolo. I think something happened to him. Enfeng panicked when he received Yun Chuzhia's sobbing voice transmission talisman. He quickly took out the voice transmission talisman to contact Di Biming, but there was still no reply. Enfeng's heart sank. Did His Excellency not care about replying, or did something really happen? Enfeng did not care about the fact that the Mo residence was brightly lit and risked being exposed to look for Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou was frantically sending voice transmission talismans to Di Biming, one after another. If she did not do this, she felt that she would go crazy. Only in this way would she not have the time to let her imagination run wild. Miss Jiu, what is going on? Enfeng knocked Mo Fangqin and the two handmaidens unconscious. At this moment, he could not care too much. Yun Chuzhou told him what had happened. Enfeng suddenly had a bad premonition. A moment ago, he was still sending voice-transmitting talismans. In the next moment, he did not respond. Moreover, he even said something. Could it be that His Excellency was really in danger? On the other side, after Di Biming fainted, the voice transmission talisman in his storage ring vibrated non-stop. Finally, he managed to open his eyes and sent his supernatural awareness into the voice transmission talisman in his hand. Yun Chuzhia's sobbing voice came from inside, Gigolo. If you don't reply, I will make you a cuckold. Di Biming was already at the end of his rope. It was hard for him to even raise his hand. After hearing this, he did not know where his strength came from. He picked up the voice transmission talisman and said, "Black thing, how dare you?" Yun Chuzhou saw one of the voice transmission talismans start to tremble. She almost thought that she was hallucinating. After picking up the voice transmission talisman, she heard what Di Biming said. Yun Chuzhou was even more certain that Di Biming must have been seriously injured. Otherwise, the gigolo would have roared fiercely. His tone now sounded weak. Prince Charming, are you seriously injured? Do you remember the wooden box I gave you last time? Open it quickly. There are good things inside that can treat injuries. Hurry. Di Biming received Yun Chuzhia's voice transmission talisman. Only then did he remember that the last time they met, Yun Chuzhou had mysteriously given him a wooden box. At that time, she did not let him open it. Later on, he had forgotten about this matter. Di Biming finally took out the wooden box. It took him a long time to open the lid of the wooden box. There were 10 ancient green jade bottles inside. Di Biming used all his strength to pick up an ancient green jade bottle. After removing the stopper, he was stunned. It was blood. Di Biming's eyes turned red. He knew that this must be Yun Chuzhia's blood. She actually. Di Biming could not describe his feelings at this moment, and tears flowed down his face. Di Biming picked up the porcelain bottle and drank the blood inside. The effect was almost immediate, and Di Biming immediately felt that his injuries had lessened a lot. He did not continue to drink, but solemnly put away the wooden box. Di Biming took out the voice transmission talisman. He had 1,000 words in his heart, but he only said one sentence, "Little Jiu, I, Di Biming, swear to the heavens that if I betray you even the slightest bit, my soul will scatter and fall into hell forever." Yun Chuzhou was anxiously waiting. When she sent her divine sense in, she heard Di Biming's hoarse voice. He could not help but cry out loud. This guy was not touched, but he was afraid. At that moment, she really thought that she would never see Di Biming again. She did not want to experience this feeling again. Enfeng's nose was also sore. He secretly made up his mind to increase his spiritual power as soon as possible and think of a way to help her. Yun Chujio wiped her tears, picked up the voice transmission talisman and said, "Prince Charming, you really make me angry. Didn't I repeatedly tell you to open the wooden box when you were seriously injured last time? Do you remember now?" Di Biming raised his head and closed his eyes. After a while, he said, "Yes, I remember. Little Jiu, wait for me. I will solve the problem as soon as possible, and I will never leave you again." Yun Chujio heard Di Biming's words, her heart was sour and sweet. "Prince Charming, you must take care of yourself. Don't worry, I will never be lazy in the future. I will definitely become stronger as soon as possible. If anyone bullies you, I will beat them to death." Di Biming and Yun Chujio chatted for a while longer. Anfeng naturally could not stand by the side and waited in the courtyard sensibly. The love was long and the paper was short. The two of them seemed to have a lot to talk about. Yun Chujio finally reluctantly put away the voice transmission talisman. Only then did she remember Anfeng who was outside. "Little lunatic, I am really too weak now. I will propose to the old fox to go out for the trial tomorrow. I definitely can't go to the fallen phoenix forest. I heard that there is 1,000 feet mountain more than 1,000 miles away from Fenli City. Let's go there for the trial," Yun Chujio said to Anfeng. Anfeng naturally had no objections. The two of them discussed the details before Anfeng turned around and left. Yun Chujio did not wake Mo Fangqin and the two maids. In any case, they would wake up the next morning. The next day, Yun Chujio was told about her thoughts to Mo Xiaoting. Although Mo Xiaoting was afraid that Yun Chujio would be in danger, he knew her temper. So, he had no choice but to remind her to be careful. "Fang Chao, not only are there powerful beasts on the 1,000 feet mountain, there is also a poisonous forest inside. You must avoid that area, otherwise, the odds are stacked against you. Do you understand?" "Grandfather, I understand. Don't worry, I will be back in 3 months or 2 at most. Take care of yourself," Yun Chujio said with a smile. But, this woman was thinking to herself, TSK, if outsiders didn't know, they would have thought that the relationship between grandfather and grandson was so good. In reality, they were all afraid that the other party would die and their interests would not be guaranteed. How ironic. Mo Xiaoting gave some more instructions. After thinking for a while, he gritted his teeth and said, "Fang Chao, it's dangerous for you to go there. Go to our shop and pick out more defensive spiritual weapons." Mo Xiaoting's heart ached because he knew that Yun Chujio had never been reserved. She would definitely clean out the entire shop. However, it was worth it to save the money tree's life. Yun Chujio did not stand on ceremony as she led He Shi and the others to sweep the place. She was good at using chicken feathers as an arrow. Not only did she sweep away all the defensive spiritual weapons in the equipment shop, she also swept through all the snack shops and grocery stores. Mo Xiaoting had already expected this outcome, so when he received the report, he could only smile bitterly. Yun Chujio was ready. She led He Shi and the others to 1,000 Feet Mountain. Anfeng naturally followed them from a distance. 6 hours later, Yun Chujio and the others arrived in the sky above 1,000 Feet Mountain. Yun Chujio originally thought that 1,000 Feet Mountain was just a mountain. She didn't expect it to be a mountain range that stretched for hundreds of miles. Bai Li and the others were surprised. "Hey sure, other places are filled with white fog, but why is there black fog there?" Yun Chujio pointed to a place below and said. "Miss, that is the famous poisonous miasma forest. The miasma inside is very overbearing. Even if it contains the detoxification pill, it is impossible to get close to it. Therefore, there is a place of death where there is no return." Place of death. Yun Chujio felt that should be Go Weiba dining place. She might as well go there to take a look before the trial ended. Who knows, there might be some good treasures inside. After the flying spirit tool landed, Yun Chujio looked around. The scenery of the 1,000-feet mountain was not bad. The birds sang and the flowers were fragrant. If she did not know that there were powerful demonic beasts inside, she would really think that this was a paradise. Just as Yun Chujio was about to call everyone in for a trial, another flying spirit tool flew over from afar. After the flying spirit tool landed, the leader was 5 young men and women, followed by 20 followers. Yun Chujio glanced at the followers' clothes and her eyes flashed. It was really a narrow road for enemies. They were actually from the Zhao family. The 5 young men and women were obviously led by a girl in red. The girl in red sized up Yun Chujio with a trace of jealousy and viciousness in her eyes. This stinky girl's spiritual power was so low. How could she be worthy of such a face? What a waste! Who are you people? One of the girls in pink clearly understood the thoughts of the girl in red and decided to find out. He Shi and the others naturally did not dare to answer without permission. Moreover, they also knew that the Mo family and the Zhao family had a feud. It was better to not bring it up. Ndnov L. Yun Chujio glanced at the girl in pink and said indifferently, "We are from Sichuan City. Our family does some small business. It's not worth mentioning." When the girl in red and the others heard that Yun Chujio and the others did not have any background, they could not help but become even more arrogant. They did not continue to chat with Yun Chujio and the others and directly entered the mountain. After those people walked far away, He Shi said, "Miss, those are people from the Zhao family. Why don't we go somewhere else? Anyway, there are many mountains in this 1,000-feet mountain, it's not like this mountain is necessary. Why do the Zhao family have so many people? I like this mountain, let's go." The reason why Yun Chujio was obsessed with this mountain was not because she wanted to cause trouble, but because the poisonous miasma forest was at the very center of this mountain. He Shi and the others did not dare to say anything else, so they could only follow Yun Chujio into the mountain. After Yun Chujio broke through to the first layer of the Ling Xian realm, she had yet to test its power, so when she saw a 31st level 1,000-feet earth-shattering bear, she was extremely excited. "Little bear, come on. Come over and spar with me for a bit." He Shi and the others were already powerless to complain. The little ancestor probably only knew 3 kinds of animals: kittens, puppies, little bear. The 1,000-feet earth-shattering bear was also dumbfounded. This human little girl was overestimating herself, wasn't she? A 4th-level spiritual venerable dared to challenge it. She was really courting death. The 1,000-feet earth-shattering bear's eyes were full of contempt. It rushed towards Yun Chujio and slapped her with its huge paw. Then, the 1,000-feet earth-shattering bear realized, where was that little girl? Just as the 1,000-feet-tall earth-splitting bear was in a daze, it heard someone behind it say with a grin, "Little bear, you are really stupid and stupid. Big sister is behind you." The 1,000-feet-tall earth-splitting bear turned around and saw Yun Chujio hugging her shoulders and looking at it disdainfully. It immediately roared and pounced on it again. He Shi and the others were surprised to find that Yun Chujio's movement technique was even faster than before, even faster than theirs. How was this possible? After all, most of their spiritual power was around the 3rd level of the spiritual profound realm, and their little ancestor was only at the 4th level of the spiritual venerable realm. This was simply too unbelievable. How would they know that the guy in front of them was used to pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, at the 4th level of the spiritual venerable realm? This guy was clearly at the 1st level of the spiritual profound realm. Yun Chujio fought with the 1,000-feet earth-splitting bear for a while, and then she felt that there was no more challenge, so it was better to find a powerful demon beast to challenge. Yun Chujio tightened her moves, and the 1,000-feet-splitting earth bear couldn't hold on any longer. It found a gap and slipped away. Little bear, do you think I can't see that you're trying to escape? I deliberately let you live. After all, your meat isn't tasty, and eating your thick bare paws is too laborious, Yun Chujio said faintly. The 1,000 feet splitting earth bear staggered, and then it staggered and ran away. Let's go. Let's go deeper. This level 31 demonic beast is too weak. It's not interesting at all. Yun Chujio curled her lips and said. He Shi and the others had no strength to complain. Even if they felt that the situation was a little unbelievable, it was the truth. The little ancestor could easily deal with a level 31 demonic beast. It was indeed not difficult. Therefore, Yun Chujio brought He Shi and the others to look for level 32 demonic beasts to train. He Shi and the others didn't stay idle this time. They also began to train because their spiritual power was basically the same as a level 32 demonic beast. They could use it to increase their actual combat experience. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Yun Chujio felt that it was about time, so she said, let's walk further inside and find a level 33 demonic beast to train with. He Shi and the others knew that it was useless to stop them. Besides, there was still that mysterious person in the dark, so there should be no problem. Therefore, they followed Yun Chujio further in. Not long after they walked, they coincidentally met the red-clothed woman and her group. The pink-clothed woman curled her lips. She said to the red-clothed woman, Sister Qianhua, some people really overestimate themselves. The lowest level of the demonic beasts here is level 33, but they actually came here to die. They are really stupid. The woman in red didn't say anything. She just looked at Yun Chujio sarcastically, thinking that it would be better if she died so as not to ruin her good looks. Yun Chujio didn't say anything. Instead, she led He Shi and the others to continue walking inside. Instead of wasting time on such a fool, it would be better to find a few more demonic beasts to train. Pan the N0VL. A man next to the woman in red's eyes flickered a few times. He said to the red-dressed woman in a slightly ingratiating manner, Qianhua, although this little girl's spiritual power is a little low, she's quite good-looking. You also know that my cousin doesn't have any other hobbies. I only like a little girl with a watery spirit. Why don't I bring her back to the Zhao family? The man did not deliberately lower his voice when he said this. It was obvious that he did not take Yun Chujio and the others seriously at all. He had already been tempted when he was at the mountain pass, but he was afraid that it would be too eye-catching to snatch someone at the mountain pass, so he did not make a move. The woman in red pouted. She's just a piece of trash without any background. It's her fortune to be liked by you. Just bring her back to have some fun. When the man heard that, his face immediately lit up. After a few jumps, he blocked Yun Chujio's path. Little beauty, your spiritual power is so low that it's useless no matter how many trials you try. Why don't you follow Big Brother back to have a good time? Don't worry, Big Brother will take good care of you. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.